Hello everybody and welcome to Waggaz's Wings episode 15. In this episode we're going to look at slipping your aircraft, which is a very important thing to learn how to do when diving either a rotary aircraft or quite a lot of the central aircraft that don't dive well. To slip the aircraft we simply use rudder in one direction, and then as the aircraft, one of the wings starts to drop on one side, we correct with the aileron, and this basically has the net effect of using the fuselage as a sort of giant air brake. So you use your rudder in one direction and then the aileron in the opposite direction. So you use left rudder and then right aileron. So here is a dive in my Albatross D2T fitted with the Becker cannon, which by the way I always take armour penetrating ammo with if I'm shooting at aircraft, and high explosive for taking out balloons. So I'm diving here, I'm diving very fast, and as you can see I very easily rip my wings off. Happens a lot to poor Albatross pilots. So one way we can counteract that is use a slip, as I said. So as I said before, we use rudder in one direction and then aileron in the other direction. So let's have a look at that done properly. So we start our dive. But this time you'll see, if we look at my rudder, you'll see we have a little bit of rudder, or about 10 to 20% one direction, and then we're having to gently correct with the ailerons to the opposite direction. So it's allowing me to build up a decent amount of speed so that the gunner on this FE2 can't get some shots in at me, but I'm very safe when I pull out of the dive. And I don't do any structural damage to the aircraft, nor do I damage the engine. So there I can just wing over after my first good salvo and finish off the pilots with a few more rounds from my Becker. As I said, when you take the Becker cannon, I will generally take armour penetrating or armour piercing if I'm taking on aircraft. So you can also use the slipping to do silly things. Some of you may have seen Requiem's video where he slips in a DR1 around an aerodrome. You can see here I'm going to slip sideways between some farm buildings. Quite useful for showing off and being silly, but a much more important use of this is to use the giant air brake as a way to land very quickly in an emergency situation. So here I am in my Newport 11 and I've encountered 3 Halberstadts. So I am outnumbered and I've already started to take some hits. You'll see that my engine has already started to splurt out oil where it's taken a hit. So I'm trying my luck here to take out one of the Halberstadts, but I know there's no way that I'm going to take out 3 of them. Often you'll see players in multiplayer, particularly the DR1's pilots, where they're surrounded by enemy aircraft and they'll take a few of them out, but they'll suffer a lot of damage, and so they need to get onto the ground quick. So you see here I'm getting my shots in against the Halberstadt. Got a lot of very good shots, and eventually here we kill the pilot and he's out. But his 2 wingmen are out for revenge, and they really let me have it. So you see there I take a good burst and it knocks out a chunk of one of my wings. So what I do is, if you can see here, I engage my rudder hard for one direction and counteract with the aileron, and you can see that I get a very short landing. So that landing is probably only 50 meters, probably less, 20 meters. Very quick snap landing. So I've survived and they don't get the kill. You may also want to do this if you're landing on a landing strip that's quite short, or you need to lose speed very quickly in a dive. So you can see here I'm not lining myself up for a sensible approach because I want to use the rudder and my aileron to try and create a slip landing. So you don't have to use the slip landing for an emergency landing when you've taken a real beating. You can also use it here, as I say, to land on a short runway or landing strip. Also, if you overshoot your landing, you can use it to slow yourself down quickly. So I hope that was useful. I hope that more of you are going to keep your wings intact. Thanks very much everybody, and see you in the skies.